am trying something new for the first time. I'm on Instagram and in my private Facebook group talking today about natural induction. I get this question a lot about, your 38, 39 weeks, 40 weeks, 41 weeks. How can I get things going, right? Like, how can I meet my baby sooner? What are all the tips? How do I get this baby out? You might be feeling this way if you're exhausted, right? You are having some aches and pains. You're excited to meet your baby. So many reasons, right? We get towards the end and we are just ready to meet our baby. So I am asked a lot, like, what are some natural ways that I can induce myself to avoid a medical induction or to just meet your baby sooner? So today I want to talk about sort of the norm. Like, what is the norm that you know from what your providers told you, what your friends and family have told you, what you've learned during your pregnancy? What is the norm for when baby should be here? Because I think we need to talk about that first before we talk about ways to get baby here. So I would love to hear from you. What do you feel like is the normal expectation for when baby should come? Is it your due date, which is an estimate and is usually around 40 weeks? So the due date is something that a lot of people focus on. So do you feel like you should have your baby by 40 weeks? And have you learned about the normal range of pregnancy? So you can go into labor at 38 weeks or all the way to 42 weeks. But a lot of people just focus on that 40-week mark. And did you know that only 5% of babies are born on their due date? So with that in mind, why do we spend so much time focusing on that one day and that all of a sudden at 40 weeks, baby should be here? And when you know that the healthy range, the normal range is 38 to 42 weeks, 38 is not too early and 42 weeks is not too late. All are degrees of normal. So when we know that, we can breathe a little bit easier. Like, oh man, there's not all this pressure to go into labor on my due date. So part of that is talking to your provider, talking to your family and friends and focusing on your due month. So what if we took that normal expectation and flipped it on its head? What if we said, nope, I don't have a due date. I have a due month. So whenever you still need to estimate the due date, right? So you go in for that scan early on, and based on your period, your last period, and that scan, they give you an estimate for when your baby, like a due date for about 40 weeks. So take that date and add 2 weeks and let that be your 42-week mark, and then go 2 weeks earlier and let that be your 38-week mark. And for that 4 weeks, that's your due month. So focus on that, share that with your family and friends, and the more you talk about it, the more they see it as normal. And talk about it with your provider and let them know you want to focus on the due month. And obviously, this is assuming and considering all is healthy and well with you and baby. If there is any reason for an earlier induction or needing for the baby to be born sooner, then that would be addressed separately. This is assuming healthy, normal pregnancy and for being pregnant with one baby, not twins or multiples. So have those conversations. The more you talk about it, the more you believe it, the more you can relax and let go of that expectation that your baby needs to be born on that due date. The reason I talk so much about this in the conversation of induction is because I get the question about okay, I'm 38, 39, I'm 40 weeks, or maybe I'm a little bit over. Something's wrong, right? Like I need to get baby here. I'm ready. I'm anxious. I'm excited. I'm, going out of town. There's a holiday coming. There's all these reasons that you might be feeling the urge to, induce. So I get those questions, and I like to preface it with understanding that there's this normal range of when the baby can be born. And when we understand that, we can sort of let the rest of the stress go and relax and embrace that it is best and safest for baby to be born when baby is ready. So that leads me into talking about that there's no magic switch. There's no magic switch to that you can do. There's no one thing you can do that will send you into labor. So there are lots of things out there that people share about and that are known to try to induce labor. And sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. And the reason that sometimes they don't is it's that your body's not ready. And the reason that they work is because your body's ready and baby's ready. So understanding that there's methods to try, but they don't all work unless your baby has sent the signal, which that signal is that the lungs are done developing. And when the lungs are done developing, a hormone is released. And that hormone is a prostaglandin that hangs out in the cervical mucus. And that cervical mucus then softens the cervix because it has prostaglandins in it that are triggered from the lungs of your baby. So resting in the fact that labor begins when your baby's lungs are done developing, and that's when the last things to finish developing. So that's the normal process. And so when you can say, you know what, I trust that my body will send me the signal when my baby's lungs are done developing and ready to be born. And at that point, right, I will embrace labor. Now, this isn't to say there aren't things that you can do to prepare your body and mind for when it's time. Okay. So a lot of times I see mamas who go their whole pregnancy and they hit 38 weeks and they're like, okay, ready for baby. And they haven't maybe taken the steps beforehand to prepare the body to receive the signal and then for labor to begin. So I want to talk today less about the induction methods that you might try and more on what you can do now and prepare your body for going into labor. So part of it is the mental component, and that's the mindset around the due date. So that's one part. The other parts are for your mind. So I want to talk about 2 ways to prepare before you reach the point of wanting to naturally induce, or before needing to even have a medical induction. So preparing the mind and preparing the body. So we can prepare the mind by reading birth stories. I found this super helpful when I was pregnant with my first. I did it with both, but really with my first. I read all the birth stories. I watched, like if there was a birth documentary or birth videos that I could scrummage up online, or just stories, like online stories, or books. Like Ina May Gaskin has some books where she just has tons of birth stories in them. And there's so many variations of normal, and you learn about them through these stories. Some are beautiful, some are tragic, some are scary, but for the most part, they all happen normal and safe and healthy, with variations in there, with hiccups, with things that they weren't expecting. But what you can learn about in that process is how to navigate them. And some of those stories talk about variations of normal with how labor started, when it started, either early or late, or some things they might have tried, or things their midwife or doctor suggested. So the more you read about those things, the more you can normalize them and try what works for you. So reading birth stories, birth affirmations. I have a whole list of birth affirmations on my blog, and I have like free printables you can even snag and print and hang around your space before the labor and during the labor. But what birth affirmations do is remind you. So when we see something on a regular basis that is affirming and reassuring and confidence boosting, it decreases the fear. It brings down our worries and our concerns. So when you're reading things like, I trust my body and baby will be born when they're ready, and you read that every single day, then when you hit 38, 39, 40 weeks or beyond, you're like, I trust that my baby and body will go into labor when the time is right. You have that confidence, and that comes from reading birth affirmations throughout the course of your pregnancy. And so for some, that might sound like frou-frou or wooey or something that you're like, that's not for me. That's fine. I encourage you to explore it a little bit. Maybe find a few you can hang on your mirror in your bathroom. Write some down. You can go online and do a search and find ones that resonate with you. There are a huge variety of birth affirmations out there. Some are like rooted in like, religion, and some are rooted in, other things. So you can find what resonates with you and aligns with you, and use those birth affirmations and read them throughout the course of your pregnancy. This is all about preparing your mind. I think there's this unrealistic expectation that we go through pregnancy as ourselves and normally, and then just all of a sudden we're going to go into labor and receive it with an open mind and a relaxed body and a confident heart. And that's not always the case. So the preparation really comes during the pregnancy. And so preparing your mind and your emotional state for labor will help you when you get towards the end, when it can be the hardest, when you're the most exhausted, when you're the most uncomfortable, during that time when you can root back into what you've learned during your pregnancy, when you get towards the end, it won't feel as hard. I promise. So the other things are visualization scripts. I have one, I think, on my website somewhere, and I'm happy to link it here, but it's you read this, or you have someone read it to you, or you can record your voice reading it and then listen to it every day. And it's that positive reinforcement about what is normal, safe, and healthy, and what your body is doing and what you're going through. And it's a constant, we need a constant reminder and a constant reset that what your body is going through is a major event, and it has effects on people differently, and that for the vast majority of people growing a baby and birthing a baby, it happens without issue, without problems. When we protect it, and when we respect it and we nurture it, it is more likely to unfold without any sort of emergency event. And reading a visualization, like a guided imagery that reinforces sort of your strength and your innate abilities, and that you trust your baby and you trust yourself, and reading that on a regular basis just reinforces against that mental preparation for when you get towards the end of pregnancy and labor. I also want to speak to mindset, still talking about preparing our mind, and the fact that it's temporary. And I know if you are late in your pregnancy right now, you don't want to hear it from me, but I have had 2 pregnancies that I carried almost 42 weeks. So 41 weeks and 6 days for both of them. So I fully understand the discomfort, the exhaustion, the readiness. But I also spent that time reminding myself, this is temporary. This is temporary. Whatever discomfort you are experiencing right now is temporary. It will end. And when you get to the other side with your baby in your arms, the time you're experiencing now during pregnancy and discomfort and readiness will be a blur. Like, you won't remember it. You might even wish you had been more patient. You might even wish you had waited for labor to start on its own, because once it's over, right? So the discomfort is temporary, right? Your baby will be born at some point. It doesn't, even though it feels like it might last forever, it will not last forever. And if you get to 42 weeks and you need a medical induction, I believe at 42 weeks, at that point, you can start monitoring the pregnancy and the baby and go on, with the support of your care provider. Or maybe the baby needs to be born and you might need an induction. But you're going to have spent this time preparing your mind and your body to receive that induction, right? For it to work without needing other medical intervention. So this isn't to say medical induction isn't necessary or beneficial for some. It's understanding that we should only use it if we need it, and that we will prepare the mind and body to receive that induction to make it the most effective and safe and healthy. Okay, so this conversation is not negating medical induction, right? It's the conversation around it, and it's how we are preparing for either natural induction or medical induction, or allowing our body to go into labor on its own. Sorry, something caught my eye. Okay, so now I want to talk about preparing your body for going into labor and or an induction. So things I recommend. I've got to get some water. Bear with me. Sorry. Gallon of water. Here we go. Okay, that's a gallon of water. I have to pee a lot when I drink that water. Every day though, y'all, you will hear me talk about hydration later in this topic. Okay, so things that help prepare your body for labor that you can start now at any time, and the earlier the better. So walking, simple, right? Every day. If you can, this is assuming you're not sick or that you don't have other medical problems, right? Walking every day, 30 minutes a day or longer, simple. It's the most simple activity, physical activity you can do that's beneficial, and it's pretty accessible to most. Obviously, it's winter, it's cold, it might be icy or snowy outside. Do the best you can with what you've got. If you have access to a treadmill inside and can go do that, do it. Or walk where it's safe in your neighborhood. I mean, if you have to walk laps around your house or around your kitchen, move your body, right? That gentle movement, walking, can be super beneficial with helping prepare your body. Helps strengthen the body, it helps cardiovascular, keep everything up, and it helps with baby getting into an optimal position. Sit on a yoga ball. The next thing is sit on a yoga ball. Ready? Here we go. Here we go. Can you see it? Yoga ball. Oh, and my doggy. I started sitting on this yoga ball when I was pregnant with my first, and I was working a desk job, and I still sit on this guy. It makes a world of difference. So if you're pregnant, hopefully if you're pregnant, or if you're listening, you're pregnant, sitting on a yoga ball whenever you can helps with core strength, right? Because when you sit on a yoga ball, you're forced to engage the core and have good posture. That alone is beneficial for strengthening your body for labor and delivery, and as well as your core strength for pushing your baby out and recovery after the baby's here. Helps support your hips in a way that, when you sit on a chair or anywhere, may feel uncomfortable. Sitting on a yoga ball feels amazing. Supports the hips and the pelvis. It allows you to sit in a position that leaves you feeling open, right? And this can just feel nice. Things you can do with the yoga ball. You can just rock side to side like this. Rock side to side. This feels nice. You can do figure eights. So imagine drawing an 8 with your hips, right? So you can do that. If you want to do, sitting. If you just sat, that's fine. But this, doing some figure eights is helpful. You can bounce. If you're having Braxton Hicks, or if you're having some contractions that are like prodromal or early labor, I would avoid bouncing. That can increase it. But just bounce. Right? That feels good. That can help as you get closer to labor. All of this can be used in labor as well for comfort. But I say sit on a yoga ball if you work at a desk. If you are in your living room for watching TV, sit on the yoga ball. So when it comes to sitting on a couch or sofa or in a car, you want to avoid reclining. So by sitting on a yoga ball, like in your living room, if you want to watch some TV with your partner or your family, sit on a yoga ball. will prevent you from reclining, which reclining does not encourage optimal position for baby. And the reason optimal position for baby is important because labor is more likely to begin when it's time, when your body's ready and baby's ready, if baby is in optimal position, which is the left side with the head facing down. And reclining kind of interferes with that. So sitting on a yoga ball encourages that. So if you don't have a yoga ball, you can find them on Amazon. You can find it at Target, Walmart, thebirthball.com. I actually just ordered another birth ball and it's coming from there. And their birth ball comes with all kinds of goodies and a book that tells you how to use the birth ball. And you can use it during pregnancy. You can use it during labor and after. So I used to sit on the yoga ball and hold my baby or strap my baby to me with a sling and do this. Oh my goodness, soothed them so easily. And it was a good core workout. Husband could do it. When I left my second for the first time with my sister-in-law, she sat for the entire time. I was gone for like 30 minutes and she just sat on the yoga ball bouncing because Marshall loved it so much. So sit on a yoga ball. That's simple, right? So that can help prepare your body for labor. Squats. So do squats. You can do the deep labor squat or just regular squats, up and down, going slow, using a support rail, like if you got to hold on to something or a person to do the squats, if you need that. Squats every day can help. It's not about starting labor, but it's about preparing your body for the duration of labor. So it helps with strength and toning and just preparing you for like stamina or, the duration of labor. It's not necessarily about starting labor. I used to do like those super low labor squat, like where all the way down with your butt almost to the ground while I brush my teeth. And I would just hang out there for a couple minutes a day. And that can be really beneficial to preparing your body for labor. The other thing is drinking red raspberry leaf tea. So red raspberry leaf tea does not induce labor. You can start drinking, I think, in the second trimester, 2-3 cups a day. And it does not induce labor. What it does is it prepares the uterus. So it strengthens and tones the muscles of the uterus, which can help promote effective pushing. If you want to go one step further than just red raspberry leaf tea, is look for like a pregnancy tea, and you want to look for ingredients such as, where do I have it? So a good pregnancy tea will include red raspberry leaf tea, as well as dandelion, nettle leaf, alfalfa, chamomile, oat straw, peppermint leaf, and milky oat tops, and maybe a few other different things in there. But those are some good herbal ingredients that help promote a healthy pregnancy, help promote a healthy labor, help promote a healthy postpartum, help prepare your body for labor. So I highly recommend searching for a good pregnancy tea and drinking that throughout your pregnancy. You can make a big batch of it, steep a bunch at one time, and then put it in the fridge and drink on it as you want. You can drink it warm or cold. So tea, red raspberry leaf tea or pregnancy tea. Hydration. You will hear me talk about hydration a lot. It's the remedy to so many common pregnancy aches and pains. But when it comes to going into labor and preparing your body for labor, dehydration increases like Braxton Hicks contractions, which can increase at the end of pregnancy. They can increase at any point throughout the pregnancy, but they are worsened when you are dehydrated. So those are not effective contractions. They can keep you up at night. They can exhaust you. So you can keep those at bay by staying hydrated. It reduces headaches, promotes better sleep, reduces like muscle cramps, which can really increase at the end of pregnancy. And then once labor starting, dehydration can stall or slow labor. So leading up to your labor, to avoid needing IV fluids or to avoid a stalling or slowed labor, stay hydrated. So aim to drink about half your body weight in ounces as a minimum. And if you can go up from there, great. And I know you pee all the time as is, and this will make you pee more, but I promise it's worth it. I drink these days a gallon, which is more than half my body weight in water, but makes me feel really good. And I encourage you to just increase your water where you can and understand the importance of how it prepares your body for going into labor, and helps, especially towards the end of pregnancy, with those discomforts that you're having. There's a pretty researched method out there for dates. So eating I think it's 5 dates a day, leading up to your birth can help encourage labor. I'm not 100% sure how it works, but I've heard from many people and read about it, and it is something that's pretty easy to do. Dates are delicious. Put a little almond butter on them if you like. They're sweet, chewy. So you could add dates to a smoothie if you don't like the texture of them. And try and increase your date intake. That can help. Other things is going to the chiropractor. I talk a lot about going to the chiropractor. I think it's a pillar of health in pregnancy. And hey, hello. So going to the chiropractor during pregnancy can help ensure that your hips and pelvis are in alignment, that lower round ligament is as loose as it can be, that that you're making room for your baby to settle into the pelvis, keeps the hips and pelvis in line, which helps with aches and pains. Backache, I had real bad sciatica with both of mine, and while it never 100% went away, going to the chiropractor helped really reduce the severity of it. So, many of these things do not ensure 100% relief, but they can help with the symptoms, and encourage. So we're talking about encouraging labor, and induction naturally. And one way to encourage that is by going to the chiropractor regularly during pregnancy. If that's available to you, I understand it's not available to everyone, but if it is, if it's not something you are doing right now or that you did before pregnancy, it's still safe to start. Ask for a referral from a friend or look around online. If you need a referral, I can help as well. The thing they need to be is Webster Technique certified. That is a technique specific to prenatal care for chiropractors. So that's the one requirement they would need. And a good recommendation is always nice. So if you have like a local moms group or pregnancy group, check in with them. They might be able to point you in the right direction. Insurance usually covers it. But chiropractic care is one of the biggest things I talk about as far as preparing the body for labor. The other thing is massage. So prenatal massage, it's in the same boat as chiropractic care a little bit. It's massaging out those achy muscles, those tight muscles, making room for baby, helping you release tension. So releasing tension is a huge component to setting your body up for going into labor or receiving that natural induction or the medical induction, is releasing tension. When we carry tension, it manifests into pain, resistance, more fear. So work out the tension. And part of that is getting a massage if you can. Chiropractic care releases tension. Dancing releases tension. Going and getting some exercise releases tension. Talking about it with a trusted partner or a therapist helps release tension. So just recognizing that all these things are also about helping send the energy and the tension that can build up over the course of pregnancy somewhere so that it doesn't prevent you from going into labor. Which it can interfere. So understanding the mind-body connection and how resistance and tension and fear can interfere with you going into labor. So, again, many mamas come to me and say, I'm 38, 39, 40 weeks and labor hasn't started. What's wrong? And part of how I would help them is talking about working out the tension, working through the fears, working through the resistance, clearing things out. And if you're regularly exercising, right, doing the walking, bouncing on the, moving on the yoga ball, going to the chiropractor, getting a massage, taking care of yourself, talking, right, processing verbally with someone, that can all help your body be in a better place to go into labor. Also, something else I wanted to mention earlier is about understanding that there's not like a magic switch for going into labor, right? It's not like you hit a certain day, 40 weeks, and boom, labor's supposed to start. Or it's not that there's a switch you can turn on. I think there's this misconception that you can control when labor will begin by trying all these natural inductions, and then when they don't work, you feel like you failed. And that is not the case. I'm here to tell you, if you have tried natural induction methods and they haven't worked, you are not a failure. Your body and baby will go into labor when they're ready, and with the assistance, with this mental and physical preparation, it's going to be easier. So believe me when I say that if you've tried some things to go into labor and it hasn't happened, it is not about you being a failure or you or your body being a failure. I want you to trust your body and this process. And when you know what is normal, safe, and healthy during this process, you're more likely to be happier and at ease with it as it progresses, okay? And not being as anxious when you hit your, when you approach 39, 40 weeks or beyond. Okay, so I took a little side tangent. So massage, we talked about that. And the other thing is warm baths to release tension. So daily, if you could do it daily, hop in that bath in the evening, add in some lavender and some Epsom salts, and zone out, chill out, release the tension. I'd like to say relax, but it's really about consciously releasing tension, because tension can interfere with so many things and it can cause discomfort and stress and anxiety. So let's work on releasing that tension, taking a warm bath before bed. Great bedtime routine addition. Again, add lavender and Epsom salt. So Epsom salt helps release the toxins in your muscles. So helps really work out any tension and stress in your muscles, and helps prevent cramps, like muscle cramps. I had real bad calf cramps during my pregnancies in the middle of the night. So taking Epsom salt baths really helped. So how I can help you is sharing this knowledge, right? Providing the info, giving you knowledge, because giving you the knowledge decreases your fear and increases your happiness and your confidence surrounding welcoming your baby, surrounding going into labor. And so the more information you have, the more knowledge you have, the more confidence you have. And then when that's in place, you're less fearful, less worried, less stressed. And that's my goal, because I know that when you're more confident, when you're happy, and when you're healthy, we all benefit. Your family benefits, your baby benefits, your community benefits, and the world as a whole benefits when mamas are happy, healthy, and confident. And that comes from taking this process and saying, okay, this is what might be normal. This is what I'm hearing, but I'm going to choose to be an active participant. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to gather knowledge. This is a big deal. Think about all the big events in your life and how you prepare for them. This is a big deal. And this isn't about preparing with buying things, which that's important too. I know baby registries are popular topics during pregnancy, but I want you to choose to focus on learning about what is normal, safe, and healthy during this time, so that you can have a safe birth that you feel good about no matter how it unfolds. So that's why I do this. That's why I have these conversations. I have a class that if you want to go further, go deeper on all the things pregnancy and childbirth, I have a class. It starts in just a couple weeks. If you want to join me, you can learn more. I'll drop the link in the comments. It's yourbirthsite.com. And you can sign up there. It's a 6-week session. We meet once a week online. We dive deeper on the entire process of pregnancy and birth, and what happens after the birth, because that's super important too, right? I got to talk about that. We spend a lot of time in the prep mode for the birth, but then we got to talk about what happens after the birth. So you can learn all about that. You can connect with me weekly, live like this. I include a course companion workbook and so much more. So if you're interested in signing up for that, I would love if you joined me. Again, that's yourbirthsite.com. And what else? If you have questions, send me a direct message. You can DM me or private message me or put it in the comments. I love to connect. I love to answer all the questions if you want to go further in this conversation. So that's it. Thank you guys for being here, and I hope you have a wonderful Friday. Bye.